Right. Hi, guys. Just trying to bloody sort myself out. It looks a bit different on the screen. Yeah, so hi. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I bloody had a long day today, man. Yeah, that looks better. So welcome to my channel. I do apologize. So this is part 2. I know I said I'd do it on Monday, but I had so many things to do, applications for school and stuff. So I'll just get into my notes. Welcome to my channel if you're new. If you're not, it's Miss Nabia. You know the drill. So just like, share, and subscribe. Get the notifications so you know when I'm on. This is the recap of Murder Amongst the Mormons. Sorry, I've had a bloody long week. So yeah, I'll just get straight into it because there's quite a lot as per usual. So episode 2, little recap, and then we can talk about it. Now, at this point, remember Mark's car blew up. Mark Huffman's car blew up, and Brent found out about it and realized that it was actually him. So they show a little bit about that. The fact that the president of the LDS church actually is denying the fact completely that this man has basically made a deal with them to sell them the McLennan collection that I mentioned in the first episode, right? So the police is obviously investigating this at this point because we've had 2 bombings so far. So as they try to investigate, they basically find out that the church is trying to hide stuff from them and things like that, because when they ask them for the minutes to the meetings and have you got any record of meeting Mark Huffman or having an appointment booked in your diary as such, they denied that they had any proof. So investigators were not convinced. They thought they were lying all the way through, which clearly they were, because watching it you just think, hold on, dodgy, that's dodgy. Again, they're moving like the most, should I say, cult type places, right? So they're moving funny. So it then kind of goes into how all the figures in the church, the high figures in the church, the president included, George Hinckley, didn't want none of this McLennan collection to come out. So obviously they're trying to make sure that, mind you, the collection was found in his car, because he always kept his stuff with him, didn't he, Mark Hoffman? So the collection was found in his car, but to the police it's all gibberish, really, because if you're not into that sort of stuff, you really wouldn't know what the worth is of the things that you found. So, but the church is trying to keep it quiet. All this time, Mark Hoffman is still in hospital, in surgery, while the police is keeping an eye on him. And they talk a little bit about how he grew up, the fact that he grew up in a very strict household. They were all Mormons, very, very strict, wasn't really allowed to do much else, always learning about the religion. And then, basically you had no opinion. It was, you best be seen, not be heard. So if kids, apparently they said, if kids disagreed with their parents, then really the parents were the ones ruling everything. The kids would never have an opinion or even have the nerve to speak up, basically. So he grew up in a very tight household and then ended up going on a mission. Do you remember, you guys, if you guys watch 90 Days, Andrea's son Tennyson was going to go on a mission? Do you remember? This guy basically was sent on a mission by his parents in 1974 to go to Manchester in England. Now, while he was in Manchester, he would go around, go into bookstores, different places, and look for, he had an eye basically for finding all these small little rare documents and books that were to do with the Mormon religion. Hi, GSP. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Doreen. Thank you. So yeah, he would basically go around buying all this stuff, right, finding all these little rare things and kind of going from there and trying to sell them and stuff like that. So in the UK they found that there was so much material, but a lot of it was against the church, so it wasn't positive material. So when Mark Hoffman would find these little books and little Mormon scriptures and stuff, he would find that they didn't he realized that there were lots of false narratives, whereas the ones propagated, should I say, by some of the brethren in the church, right? It hid the truth. So what he was finding was kind of the real back truth to the Mormon religion and where it kind of started, whereas the church was picking and choosing which bits to put in, which bits to not put in. You know what I mean? Oh, hi, Tia family. Thanks for joining us. New subscriber. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it. So yeah, where was I? And then, so as the guy carries on looking into all these different things, he now realizes the church is actually lying, and he starts talking to one of his friends and realizes that they're deleting stuff out of history, covering it up, and basically downright lying, right? So he asks his friend a question. What do you think about lying for the Lord? Is a question in the documentary. We can discuss that after, but like, that's such a deep question. What do you think about lying for the Lord? Now, then Mark Huffman, when he was living at home, right, he would always keep his stuff in a box under his bed, but it would contain a lot of material, right, that was sensitive to the church. So not always friendly, not always positive, but he would keep this in a box, and he would tape up the box apparently with his signature on the tape at the edges, so that if anybody had looked into it or had been in his box besides him, he would know that somebody's been in it, right? So he was that kind of paranoid and would give copies to his fellow collectors and dealers. You remember I mentioned that in the first episode. And then it kind of jumps to October 19, which is 3 days after the first bombings that happened in Utah City, Salt Lake City in Utah. And then the police and the prosecutors, they kind of set up this room that they call the war room, where they discuss everything about the case. So then, all of Mark's associates at this point basically become suspects in this case. So they look into everybody, but then a lot of them are kind of dropped as suspects and not really important because they realize they don't really have much to do with this. But then Shannon Flynn, the guy that has that raspy type voice in the documentary, if you've seen it, he's the main guy that's sitting in the chair. He's in most of the documentary. He's the one that got picked up, arrested, and then investigated, because he used to work for Mark Huffman in the 80s, right? And basically work for him full time for a living. So this man was making some serious money. He said he would carry a suitcase around all the time to, when he's going around with Mark making all these deals, because they would deal in a lot of money. He's mentioning 185 grand to $300,000. They would spend a lot of money on these rare documents, these collectors. So at some point, Shannon really had a fascination with firearms. So he says that apparently, as they were making all that money, Mark Huffman had bought him an Uzi. So you could see this little bit. They would drive out somewhere in the middle of nowhere and start shooting up things and stuff like that, just for fun. But, mind you, these people have been brought up. These are young men in their mid-20s, late 20s, been brought up in a very strict Mormon household. So for them, this was like the best thing they ever did. So as Shannon gets arrested for possessing Shannon then further on gets arrested for actually having possession of a firearm, because obviously they need something on him when they looked at him as a suspect. So they now arrest him for that. And then his name is all over the papers, gets slandered everywhere. He does a lie detector test though. And this is the funny part. From zero, you've got the middle point, right? The metric. And then from 0 to -6 or anything more than that, you're definitely deceitful, you're lying. And then you go from 0 to plus anything, 6 and plus, you're telling the truth. So this man scored 12 plus, right? So it's like he already was telling the truth. They then let him go, right, after he passed the lie detector test. So the police now is rethinking their whole strategy, because they don't really know where the motive lies, like who did this, where are the motives, so now they had all these witnesses from the first bombing. Do you remember the Judge building that I covered in the first episode? There was a bombing in the Judge building. They had witnesses that had basically claimed that they saw a man with a green Letterman jacket. Now, that's one of those high school jackets. It's kind of cotton in the middle with the sports arms, right? And then Brent Metcalf hears about this particular green jacket that they keep mentioning. Now, he remembers that Mark Huffman actually owns a green Letterman jacket, but it could still be a coincidence because these things apparently could be bought from a thrift shop or a secondhand store, or somebody who'd gone to the local college could have one, the police were saying. So that was kind of a little bit of a, so now the police is thinking, right, we got to find who owns that particular jacket, right? So then you see a little clip where it's the funeral of Kathy Sheets, the lady that got killed in the second bombing. That was targeting her husband, but unfortunately she got the brunt of it. And then we saw Steve Christensen's funeral, who was bombed in the Judge building. And then it gets to Mark, who comes home from the hospital and goes to these funerals. People are obviously looking at him thinking, praying for him and putting stickers on his windows at home, and the neighbors are like rallying around this family, and then the police get a search warrant to go look in Mark Huffman's house, because now they're looking for that green jacket, remember, because he's now an official suspect. So they're looking for that jacket, anything to do with bombs and things like that. Then they look in the cupboard, they don't find any bomb stuff, but bingo, they find the bloody green jacket. Now I'm thinking, okay, so what's going on? So kind of predictable a little bit, but at the same time, it's interesting to know the history of this story. Now, the jacket could have, like I said, it could have been bought anywhere. Within all the paperwork they found at his house, though, they found a lot of stuff that they thought, had to do with his past business dealings and stuff. Now, they jump back to 1984, a year before the bombing. They try to retrace kind of what he was up to and the type of dealings he had before this. So then they find this guy who owns a New York gallery, Justin Schiller. He then says he meets Mark in 1984. At this point, Mark's dealing with all sorts of stuff, right? So he's doing signatures, he's doing important people in history, he's doing documents, US history documents and things like that. So he's now basically widened his business range into all sorts of stuff, not just Mormon rare documents and stuff like that. So, hey, Bobo, thanks for joining us. And then Mark, basically, they find out that he had bought a couple of pages of a prayer book from this bookstore in New York. Now, it said it was the Oath of the Free Man. The Oath of a Free Man apparently is this really important piece of print that has always been reprinted, but never the original. Like nobody had seen or touched the original. So now all of a sudden this man has found this original that was the first printed material in colonial America. So Justin Schiller at this point was very interested, bought it from Mark Huffman, right? It looked remarkable, he said. So he then buys it, carries on, and thinks, this is the greatest thing ever, sends it for a cyclotron test, which apparently is a test that checks whether the ink on the paper is in fact 300 years old, as what the man claims it to be. So they do all these tests on it. Apparently they bombard it with high velocity protons, which give them the accuracy of the ink, basically. So then, they do this very expensive procedure. Justin Schiller is paying for this, but he's expecting a 5 to 10% commission. Now, pay attention. 5 to 10%. Mark then turns around and tells him, no, if you can get this authenticated, the Oath of a Free Man piece of, paper that has the print on there, we will split 50-50, whatever we get. And the man's like, okay, fair enough. Like, he must be a nice guy. He's fair, wants me to have 50-50. So he then carries on doing business with him. They agree on selling it for 1.5 million. Now, all of this was in play, but hadn't actually been done because a lot more tests need to be done on this piece of paper to authenticate it for it actually to be, passed on as the real deal. Do you know what I mean? So while they're doing all of this in the background, it says when Mark was in California, he would drink alcohol like there's no tomorrow. Mind you, in Utah, they don't do that. So this man was kind of leading when he's on the road doing business, drinking, doing what everybody else is doing. But when he's in Utah, it was that strict, straight and narrow kind of lifestyle, if you know what I mean. So then they figure out, as he's getting ready to get these papers released, right? The police find out that he's getting ready basically to sell these papers. Then they say, you know, he hasn't really got a motive because he's making money deals, big money deals. So the police is thinking this man has got $1.5 million, you know, deals waiting for him on the table. He doesn't really have a motive to do all these, you know, and bum all these people, his associates. So then the police kind of think, okay, they need a motive. And they didn't have one. So now they go back to the scoreboard, look at everything else, and basically say, okay, we need to look at all the evidence. Maybe they've missed something. So they found this business card with the name Mike Hansen on there. And they think, okay, who is this person? They ring the number. And apparently there was a recording on there or something that said, this is Mike Hansen, blah, blah, blah. Now they find that the lettering of the receipt and the card that they found is a engraving place. They call the place, they find out that this particular place had basically sold a plate that they've made and that somebody had ordered under the name Mike Hansen. So they make this plate, right? And then sell it to this guy. They don't think anything of it. But when the police actually find out that it's a plate that you make currency with, kind of different type of currency, so they're thinking, hold on, you know, what's going on here? Why has this man ordering? Who is this Mike Hansen, first of all? Like, who is this Mike Hansen? Basically selling these plaques, you know, buying these plaques to use them for, you know, it's like plaques that they think can be used for forgery. So now the police are shocked because the story kind of takes a different turn. They realize that all of Mark's previous deals could be forged. So that meant that Mark had an absolute motive, like he had motive to bum people, because if that had come out, that 1.5 million deal and all the other deals he had lined up clearly wouldn't have happened, right? So then they're like, right, we need to get this guy. But then they decide to contact the church and do some tests on the salamander letter. The church hands over, the LDS church hands over the salamander letter that they bought from him, right? And no, that was donated to them by Steve Christensen. Remember, he donated to the church. He donated it back to the church. Bit of a tongue twister, sorry. So yeah, they basically said, right, we're going to have to get this tested properly. The FBI took it. They then did all these special tests to determine if the salamander letter was actually real. Then this guy comes into it, George Throckmorton, forensic examiner, who is called in as one of the best, kind of to come and verify what these things exactly are and if they are the real thing. Then he looks into the people that actually authenticated his previous work. Now, this BYU, I don't know exactly which university that is. I haven't looked into it, but he's a historian there who apparently authenticated the work, but really he's just a historian. He's not an expert. So when these forensic experts are looking into this, they hope that there would be an anomaly, right, within the ink. So they looked at every detail. They realized that some of the paper was made in 1890, but then the ink was 1830. They're thinking, something's not right, but they need more proof. So they carry on and realize that the oath of the freeman then is real. So they're like, right, we're authenticating this. They send it back. They realize that everything's real. The salamander letter is real. So the police is now frustrated because nothing's adding up. Like, why are these things coming back authenticated, right? So, oh, is it? BYU is a Mormon. Okay, right. Okay. Well, there you go then. This Mormon college historian, yeah, said that they were all authentic, but clearly not. And they now said, the FBI now said it's authentic. So the police is like, they don't know what to do. And then he then sits there, and apparently his wife, you see a little clip, which is a little bit weird. You see a home kind of clip where it's like them sitting at home. This is Mark Huffman and his wife, and they're watching him on TV. They're watching the news story about himself, and he's like talking in the background in this home video, and he's watching himself. So now, this is a little bit too much text, but I'll try and go through it quick. Now, the forensic investigators were not happy at all, right? They disagreed with all the FBI findings. So they wanted to go even further into the layers of the ink to see what really was there. So then they realized that some of the ink on the salamander letter was cracking when put under the microscope. So they're thinking, why is this cracking? They then look into it, and it was apparent that all the papers that Mark Huffman had handled had a crack in it. The ink had cracks in it. But then, the papers that he hadn't handled, which had been in the church years before he even, started selling stuff to them, all of a sudden had no ink cracking. So now they've had these two piles of paper where it's like Mark Huffman and not Mark Huffman. Do you know what I mean? So it's already looking dodgy. Then there's a pattern on every document he had handled. So every document that Mark had handled had cracked ink. Now they look back at the engraving receipt of that company that did engravings, and then they realize that this man had bought a plate to make prints. The police then go to this engraving place and want to see what this particular person had bought, this Mike Hansen. They then are told that this man had asked them to print the Oath of the Freeman on a plate, right? And he was $2 short. So as he's getting ready to pay for it, he was $2 short. With the $2, he wrote them a check. The check then was traced back by the police to Mark Huffman. So now they realize that Mike Hansen and Mark Huffman are both the same bloody person. So I'm like, okay, so this man was right. So I'll just carry on. They then go and explain that Mike Hansen was actually using the name, Mark Huffman was using the name Mike Hansen all along, and everything, the plate that he made was forgery. They actually tried it out, and when they realized that, the man made this plate and it was false, they just, kind of high-fived that they made the case. And so this was particularly, this was the motive episode. We now know why this man would do why he did. Clearly, again, money, 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 money. Money, right? It's like, it's always money, money, money. It's always greed always plays a part. And then, it's kind of gets to the end of the episode, and, we see why a lot of these things, like a lot of these organizations like to hide stuff. They always have been. There's a history of picking and choosing what you want to put in certain religion books and religious stuff. And, so your followers can only know so much, Thanks everybody for joining me. You know the drill. Click on the link if you want to talk a little bit. To be fair, I was going to add episode 3 as well today, but too late now, I suppose. I can't just start chatting. I need some notes about it. So I'll probably do 3 on Friday so we can just wrap this up now, I think. But thanks everybody for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. That was kind of the, I just thought what was crazy is the statements they kept making, the statements of the church president would always come out and speak and talk about how they're not, how do you call it? How they're not making deals with this man. They've not had meetings planned with this man. It was just, everything's always covered up and smooth over just so they can get, and mind you, remember what I said in the first episode, when the LDS church retrieves their, when they retrieve their, should I say, all these rare documents that people may have found, they will buy them back. And as soon as they've got it, they're never to be seen again. Oh, hey, Ablavi. Thanks for joining me. I'm tired this week, man. I'm tired. Oh, I remember, I know you watched it, so come on.
Welcome to the life of
I
the
know, I
viewer.
know.
Yeah, I knew he was
Oh,
a liar. I knew he was a
I
liar.
know, right? It was kind of predictable. Hence why I did want to put in episode 3, but never mind.
Well, you could put episode 3 if you want to.
No, but I don't even. I would have to look at it back to remember what was
He
going on.
he was a liar, a cheat, a thief, a criminal. I enjoyed it
Yes,
very much.
I did as well. It was interesting though to see how can a whole place's religion or belief depend on this one guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bringing things to the forefront, and all of a sudden, yes, it's authenticated by some historian. I didn't even know that was a thingy school, a Mormon college. You said
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I probably would have had to look it up, but yeah, he was sitting there like he was some sort of expert when really he didn't even know what was going on. And then poor Shannon Flynn, the guy with the voice, every minute getting arrested and being blamed for stuff when really
Do
he
you
was
think
just,
that's why his
you know
voice
what I
is like
mean?
that?
No, I think it's smoking probably.
Oh,
Maybe had lung cancer, maybe survived something rough.
maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just
one of
over
the
them.
two. Huh?
I'm just over them. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that, you know, he got his in the end. I loved how they weren't even checking his work. They weren't even going to his, like, putting this to the FBI. They were just saying, "Oh, I'm a historian and this matches up." He was
Yeah.
one of the best forgers ever.
No, I agree. Sorry, I'm just changing the.
And I knew he was lying when he said,
Yeah, we might as well. We might as well, people. I don't mean to ruin it, but we're gonna throw in the end as well. Go for
okay,
it. Yeah,
what
because I've had
happened?
kind of enough of them. Because I should have just done it all in one go. To be fair, every week I can't be dealing with it. So there we go, people. I've just redone my bottom thing. Go on.
Okay, well, in episode 3, we
Yeah.
find him and they can't figure out how he's doing it.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out how, because he did what was that thing called? The thing he was selling, was it the amendment? What was it? It was like,
No, the oath. It was the
yeah,
oath of a freeman. That was
yeah,
the small little square,
yeah,
and then he had the salamander letter, which he decided to adjust, and say the white salamander.
yeah. Well, the oath,
Yeah.
they were trying to figure out how it was fake, and they went through it. Then they found that guy, and then they found how he did it. So then they go back to when he was a child and how he would scam, he would change. Okay,
Right.
it was crazy.
I remember now. When he was younger, he taught himself. He realized, I think, he was into certain things. He taught himself how to, what was it? How to make old coins look older. That's how he started, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And then he would go to the coin stores and sell it back to the people and say he found this and it's old. Realized he could make money, and then just perfected his craft as he grew up, didn't he?
The thing that pissed me off is when he had all his friends and they were going to find coins and they were going all around and they couldn't find. And then he, at the last minute, they were out there for all day. And then they found the jar that he buried in the woods the night before. I was like,
it was awful. Yeah. And he would make them think they found old coins.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was already a scammer from a child, unfortunately. Wasn't he? Let's be real. And he just grew into getting better and better and better.
He scammed everybody into believing that, the cops were lying about him. Everybody was coming out saying, how dare they say something like that to them? It couldn't be him. And I mean, he's just lying.
I mean, he blew himself up.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Like, the man was coming there with some broken fingers that looked like stubbles, like when he was.
Because his goal was to be a suicide bomber. He didn't think he would live. And he thought if he killed himself, the attention wouldn't go on himself. Yeah, he was a scammer. He did that. Then they showed how he was scamming. So they showed his method. They showed how he was inside this room in the house that his wife she didn't have any access to, and that's where he would make the fake documents, and he would do all types of oxidation in order for it to look older, and all types of, like, he was really skilled in the forgery.
He was really good. Yes, yeah. All the things he did. Remember, he said he would put the piece of paper. Oh, hold on, my lighting. He would put the piece of paper like this. Where's the paper? He would put sorry guys, I'm just trying to grab some paper. He would put the piece of paper like this and use the Hoover. Remember, use the Hoover to suck the ink backwards into the paper, because he knew that back in the day, the ink would sit more. If it was, the older the paper is, basically, the letter has been written, the more he had to suck it out, wasn't it? And put the Hoover in the back. Or do you guys say vacuum? The vacuum. Yeah.
But yeah, he did that, and it just showed him, like,
it was a sick process. Yeah.
And how he was so good at forging handwriting. He had learned this as a child.
Yes.
How he was so good. So he must have read it and had a problem with the church and wanted to make the church look like fiction.
Well, whatever he was doing, he saw a gap. You know, when you realize a niche market?
Yeah.
Back then, he saw a gap because he had an eye for finding these old literatures, apparently. But he wasn't finding them. He was just remaking them. You get it?
Well, no. That's another thing. He actually did have some real documents
that he found.
That he bought.
He would mix in with his false stuff, basically.
No. He would buy it so that he would have a reference point to scam even more.
Yeah, because he was known as the rock star of dealers, remember?
Yeah.
So everybody's looking up to this guy who really is a forger. Like, he's been doing this from when he was a kid.
He was doing it, and then when they were talking to him, and then they have the FBI going in and talking to him, and he has no remorse. Doesn't think he did anything wrong. He said, if people believe the lie, then that's their problem, not mine.
No, he was. And then again, this is the thing I want to discuss, the wife. Why is there always a wife that pretends she didn't know? The room was bloody there. The house wasn't a mansion. Let's just be real. How do you not know what he's doing in the evenings, telling you not to come in the room? Are you crazy? I'm coming in. What you doing? My neck is already in there before I say what you doing.
The wife that was crazy was the foolishness where they said that he used his wife to get the first. It shows you how he did the first document in the Bible, and how, I guess that's the Solomon letter, and how he put it in the Bible. They show you the whole the steps he used to put it in the Bible, seal the Bible, and said that he got his wife to open it up and find it.
Yes, that was him as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he told her one time he did it. And she was like, no.
Yes, and she thought he was joking, and he just said, no, I didn't. Yeah. But you see how a lot of the time a real liar will drop the truth like that, but then retract it because you just think, oh no, it's gone over your head. You get what I mean? That he's not the first to do that, to say something, confess, but then say, that's just a joke. It wasn't me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I enjoyed it.
I did as well. It was very interesting to see these, other cultures. That's all I'm going to say. It was very interesting because it's like, where is the background? How am I just popping up out of nowhere because I grew up in that particular culture and beliefs? How did this man just pop out of nowhere and decided, you know what, I'm going to forge handwriting, I'm going to forge bloody presidents from the past. Do you know what? I'm going to forge everything I can sell, basically. That's like you just forging anything and anything that'll go from your shop. But you are walking around selling these things, and he had everybody convinced, because how many people was working with him and working for him while he was doing dodgy deals? A lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It was interesting. I mean, is this what Andrea's into? The white salamander. That's what they. That's what it is.
I mean, it's interesting because she had this thing called LA Moms before, and I think they said she was from Dallas. She wasn't from Utah, so I'm curious as to why she moved to Utah.
Why she? Yeah. And who convinced her? Because I know she wasn't born into this.
No.
So let's just stop playing games, Andrea. You were not born into this. So which Mormon friend have you met and went and had coffee with a little bit too often and then decided I'm moving to Utah because it's quiet for my black children and safe? You know, that's how it went in my eye. Her little coffee shop friend told her, you need to come with us, try this. You know how it goes. And Andrea seems that type of person.
But anyway, I think this was very mild compared to like all the Mormon stuff. Like,
I mean, like some of the Scientology stuff is rough.
Yeah,
like, it's harsh.
I thought it was a very mild sort of story.
There was a part where Mark was shown tearing blank pages from old books. Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
See, even that probably. Even that probably helped with his deceit, because he would probably use the old pages, right? And then print his stuff on there.
Up and he made it into like ink.
Is that what he would do?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, that's what they showed. It was like,
I'm trying to click on the bloody third episode to see a little bit of a clip, but for some reason it's not working.
I think we got it all.
I'm not. I'm not too sure. But no, the wife again talking about she didn't know, and she felt like he was a bit off. He was a bit strange. That's all she said. He felt a bit. One day when he came home, he felt a bit off, just a little bit strange. But I didn't really see any. I don't know why this thing is not letting me play this. I didn't see much else. I found it interesting though that what's his name? How Shannon Flynn still apparently visits the guy in jail. Like they're still friends. That's crazy. You never know this. I'll be. What do you mean warnings? H. Caballero. You need to pop on. I did say Mormons, murder among the Mormons last week. You can pop on now if you feel like. I'll drop the link for you again.
Ooh. But that was all from me. Anything else?
Well, I just found it interesting how every minute that the LDS church was just making speeches, just denying. It's just every single time. I know it's very, they're all similar, aren't they, in their ways? Deceiving, corrupt, money plays a part. I was reading that apparently they hid their $1 billion fund that they've got. They've hidden. So, even though it's I think, is it tax-free, isn't it? Because it's a non-profit. Of course
it's tax-free because it's a church.
Yeah. So in that sense, they have a lot of money that they ask people for, what's that word they used? Ticket. No, not ticking. Let me not use the wrong word. I don't want to offend anybody. Huh?
Tithe?
Yes. Do you say tithing? Yeah. They want people to do that all the time, and they don't care where you get it from. That's another thing. Whereas they're sitting on billions already. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But it's for me, that wife and the two. I like the two forensics that actually kind of proper got on the job and realized it, because they were so determined to find out how is the FBI authenticating stuff. And then they, when they looked into it, how many tests did they do? They did so many tests. If they had just said, you know what, off the bat, it's authentic too, this man would have got away with it. He was that good. Because otherwise they would have seen it. He was really good. The forgery business was good.
Of course it was good.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten as far as he did. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, no, but have you guys seen this actually? Or are you just here listening to me, to us?
I think it's a mixture.
I would like to know if everybody's watched it or not. Girl, you need to be giving warnings, you know. That is funny. But no, I mean, what should we cover next then? I was seeing, actually, funny enough, you know how we covered Woody Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Leslie sent me a message talking about, look at this, here we go. Angelina Jolie and Brad, the boy is accusing him already. Oh my God, what is this? Oh, am I going to defend Brad? Or is this parental alienation? Or what? What's going on?
Listen, I'm not getting involved with them.
Because I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, you know, on one hand, you don't believe in parental alienation, but on the, is this what she's doing?
Listen,
we need to talk about that. So I might do a live about that.
That's a whole nother thing. I don't know. I believe in my boy Brad. Say it ain't so. I know Brad is one of the finest. Like, I'm not really into men like him, but Brad is a fine piece of man.
I know. And he still is, to be fair. But no, I mean...
No. He's aging like milk. Please.
Everybody ages, but he's aging like milk. Everybody's going to age at some point.
Yeah, but you want to age like wine, not like milk.
Oh, please. Okay, go on then. Who else is aging like milk?
A lot of people. I looked at, what was that woman's name?
Go on.
Well, anybody on 90 Day Fiancé is aging like milk. I mean, those women on that show be like...
Please don't stop.
Tom Cruise is Asian, okay. George Clooney is, you know...
if you like that sort of thing...
Idris is looking a little... You know,
Idris is a no-no for me. Angelina Jolie is aging like milk.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah. You know what? We need to let's see what more news comes out. We might discuss that. Or I might just throw in another First 48 on Friday, like how we've wrapped up the Mormons. So, Caballero, don't bother with the Mormon thing. Well, if you want, actually, I would recommend you to just watch it for your own interest, to be fair. It's you know, nice enough. I shouldn't say nice enough. It's good enough knowledge to have. Do you know what I mean, Ablavi? Yeah.
Well, the Brad Pitt thing is going to be... It's going to be interesting with the Angelina. That's going to be so interesting because...
It would be, yeah. Just to see what you know, what she's accusing him of. We all know he gave the boy a bollocking on the plane. Who doesn't? You know, give their child a bollocking now and again.
No, that's not what they said. They said they was fighting. They was tearing them up.
Who was tearing up who? Even if Brad was tearing up the boy, that's his daddy. Did he not raise him? Or have I got it wrong? It's Maddox, isn't it?
Maddox is technically not his child.
I know that, but did he not raise him from very young? I'm sure he did, because she had Maddox when she got with him. I know she did.
Yeah, but she had Maddox. Let's see. I don't know who, because Maddox he's 19 years old. So they got together in 2005. Is that when they got together?
I think so. So if it's 19, that'll be 14. Take 14 years off.
Yeah, he had him when he was like 3, 4, maybe 5.
Take 14. What am I talking about? You said
2005. That is 16 years ago.
So the boy was 3. I told you.
Listen.
And he was adopted, remember? She had the kids when she got with him.
This is a whole situation, because I don't understand why she just cannot get divorced. I don't understand this whole thing. They've been trying to get... They were only married for 2 years. It seems like this is
the divorce is always longer than the actual marriage, which is ridiculous. Yeah.
This is a hard one, because I don't really care for either one. Because she was wrong to sleep with
I don't know the exact story. I've only seen the headline of that paper or the magazine.
Oh, honey, them two were foolishness when they got together. So he was married to Jennifer Aniston at the time. and she is notorious for sleeping with people's fiancés and husbands. And she was, I don't know, she was with the guy, but not that much. Anyways,
Yeah.
on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they were getting close together. They would
Yeah, of course they were. Have you seen that movie? Come on. Of course they were.
And
Every
he
minute she's
cheated
got the gun. She's got the gun up her thigh. Have you not seen how high the thigh thing is? Come on. I would be getting it on too, but you know, that's a different story.
But anyway.
But then again, I wouldn't steal a man off a woman. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm not.
No,
I wouldn't do that.
No, Jennifer Aniston, like, we got to be insightful. Jennifer Aniston didn't play the movie right. I'm sorry. Like, you don't date men like Brad Pitt. Like, if she don't want to have children, that's fine. But when your man is having movies with Angelina Jolie, you better find a way to get pregnant or find.
You better. I'm breeding overnight. Are you crazy? No way. Because remember, Angelina was so sexified that time. Like, she was sexy, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, it was, she was a threat and a half. But then here comes little sweet Jennifer, you know, girl next door, still trying to be cute and petite. But that's not what he was after. He wanted somebody to bring that fire and make him, you know, I don't want to get rude, but make him breed up some babies.
Well, that's what she was looking for. He really wanted children, and we can see Jennifer Aniston doesn't want any. And
and she still ain't got none.
Listen.
But I believe she regrets that. I believe she regrets that decision.
What does she regret? She had Brad Pitt in his good years. Now, if we're going to talk.
Yeah, actually, yes. No, let's not. We will make this a whole topic. Let's just see what comes out in the next 24 hours to 48 hours. And then we can proper go in on her. Look, just save your energy for then. Okay.
All right.
But yeah, thanks, Caballero. I knew Angie was gonna turn right out. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Caballero, for all your little input. But that was the recap. I hope it was all right for you guys. The recap of the murder Murder Among the Mormons. But what we'll do is maybe do Brad and Angelina next time. Let's see what comes out. And then we'll just cover that. And then it could just be a broad topic of divorce and all sorts. So let's get into it, innit? There's a lot to talk about under that umbrella. There's a lot to cover. Yeah. So, yeah, we can do that. So, you know, I'd be glad if you guys can join us. Like, share, and subscribe, Miss Nabia. So, and hit the notification bell so you know, especially you, 1992, hit that notification bell and put it on all notifications so that you can see whenever I go live, you'll get the notification, okay? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is a good topic, got me wanting to call in. No, save that as well for the next time, Caballero. We will catch you in the next 24 to 48 hours, see what information I can gather regarding Angelina and Jolie's split. So, or should I say ugly divorce? Is it an ugly divorce, Ablavi? Would you call it an ugly divorce? Right.
It's a divorce.
It's an ugly divorce. So tune in and we can discuss that. And like I said, broad umbrella, so we can go into all sorts. I appreciate the support. You guys follow Ablavi M. She does some good stuff too. Check out her little recap from Love After Lockup. It's just doing ever so good. She just went all in. You guys need to check that out. But yeah, so I'll catch you guys next time on 3, 1. No, I shouldn't say 3. Yeah.